Hey, this is George. Welcome to the show. Just want to remind you that some of the things we talk about might jump into spoiler territory, so please read the show notes or check out bddsci-fi.com for a full list of potential spoilers. Thanks for listening, and without further ado, here are Kevin, Adam, and myself, the Busy Daddies Do Sci-Fi podcast.
It doesn't matter. Alright, hey, welcome to Busy Daddies Do Sci-Fi. But I already said that probably in the little audio thing at the beginning there.
Did you get on tape? It doesn't matter.
I did, yeah. You like that?
Yeah. Hope. With a message of hope
Doesn't
tonight.
matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't. No, you got to understand, that's for... You got to be able to look at that statement and see the hope in it. It doesn't matter.
Say more about that.
So are we rolling?
We're rolling. So what about now? The case that you made for doing this intro was something like there needs to be an intro because that's just what you're used to. It's the standard convention.
Oh, I'm not used to anything because I don't really listen to these.
Okay,
But like,
all right.
Well, there's usually something.
When I
usually
hear-
like a bam 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 bam.
the being the busy daddy science fiction.
Well, no matter what we do to start it, it's got to be more interesting than this.
yeah. No, that's it.
All right, good. We got our intro.
Cool.
It doesn't.
What?
Okay. Anything. It doesn't matter. It's one of the deepest. It's one of the deepest statements you could possibly say. It doesn't matter. Whatever. I don't know, man. You're out of self.
So I guess it doesn't matter. Just stop the recording. Episode 16. Where are we? Yeah.
Does it matter?
Listener, does it matter? We didn't go through the mail from the last time.
Maybe that's a better question. Does it matter?
Yeah. Does it?
Not just the definitive statement of it doesn't
It does.
matter.
I mean,
It doesn't.
listeners holding on. You know, we're going a little cuckoo
I don't
here.
mean
It's
the
another
podcast.
episode we have to
I mean-
record without Adam.
I mean everything. It's another episode.
Yeah,
Adam,
and the guy kind of keeps hold us together. He practices that psychology stuff on us, and we automatically start saying things about our lives and our pasts in front of him, and he kind of weaves it together.
Somehow he convinced us that we should do this without him, and here we are, basically pulling the same amount of weight that usually three men are pulling. And I got to tell you, we're feeling it. We're feeling the pressure of it.
Fatigue.
The fatigue.
The fatigue, man.
Oh,
it is
matters.
late.
It matters so much.
Yeah,
We all matter.
it does.
Everything
now
matters.
it does matter.
Yeah, changed my
Yeah,
mind.
we're going in. Yeah,
We can do that.
yeah, yeah.
Speaking of changing our minds, have you ever, railed against something, like a TV show or a movie or a book, and then found out that you really, really like it?
I mean, I think
Like that whole,
yes,
contempt
but I don't
prior to
really know.
investigation,
Yeah.
and then you jump in and you're like, shit. It's like, this is really good.
Well, I mean, name one. What do you got?
I did that for a while with Star Trek. You know?
Huh.
I did that for a while with, I did it for Doc. I would say I've almost done it with everything that I really, really enjoy now.
Well, I've always kind of
sobriety.
fought things I liked at some point, but
Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I would always say, I like Joss Whedon, but that's probably bullshit. Buffy the Vampire. It's probably written
and this is because
for...
you're coming on well, if these losers are suggesting it, there's no way
Yeah,
I could possibly
pretty much.
like it.
Pretty much judging it by its audience, or just it's just totally looking at something for its face value and going, no, that's probably cool for some people, but not for me.
Oh yeah, well then that would be other science fiction podcasts.
Oh, perfect. No, I think it's safe to say that every single one but the one we do sucks.
Yeah.
And if you don't agree with us, listener...
Yeah. Well, Decipher Sci-Fi. We're cross-pollinating with those guys.
Decipher
Did we ever
Sci-Fi.
cross-pollinate, George?
no,
does friending on Instagram
we follow them on Instagram, and they follow us. But you know what?
We want to see if they
actually-
want to buy ad space on our website, right?
Of course. Yeah.
And then
what
we
are we
would.
selling that for now? It's in demand.
What's the going price of the usual stuff? I forget.
50?
Our IT guy. You're our IT guy. No, you're our social media guy and IT.
IT guy too.
Yeah.
AMICAE AETERNUM. Am I saying that right?
I don't know.
AMICAE-
It's not the price of web advertising, though.
That's 50.
It's 50.
Don't worry.
50 clams.
Magic beans.
50
50 clams.
clams.
I love terms for money. And it happens a lot in sci-fi stories where there's a vagueness to what the actual amount is. 50 simoleons could be, I feel like, any amount. 50 credits, could be. I love when there's that's one of the things in Star Trek. The Federation, of which Earth is a part of, has outgrown the use for money.
Mm-hmm.
But they encounter civilizations which still have money. And there was addressed one time in this one episode where this guy from Earth is trying to buy something, and he says, "Why don't you use this?" And his friend, who comes from a society that still uses gold, says to him, "Why don't you use your money?" And he goes, "I'm from Earth. I don't have money." It's like, "Why not?" He's like, "Because we work to better ourselves and the rest of humanity." And he goes, "What does that mean?" He says, "It means we don't use money." And there's just this how it all falls apart in the face of common sense economics. And
Yeah.
yeah,
We don't use money. It doesn't matter.
it doesn't
It
matter.
does. Just hit stop.
AMICAE
Just hit
AETERNUM.
stop.
AMICAE AETERNUM is a short story.
Written by.
Ellen Klages.
Reading the notes at the bottom, I realized we kind of got young adulted on this one.
We did. Yeah.
We did.
In
But it was
fact,
all right.
I brought this up because we were talking about cross-pollinating podcasts. There's a podcast called Cast of Wonders, which takes young adult short stories, turns them into audio dramas, and they did it with AMICAE AETERNUM. One of their
Really?
Yeah, I didn't listen
Did you
to
listen
it.
to- yeah.
I did not listen to it, but I liked the story enough where I think I'm going to listen to it.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
It was cool.
Tor.com set us up again. And that's who they should be paying us to say that, by the way.
Tor.com,
or at least
Tor.com.
sending us the next Werner Vinge book. There should
What is Tor? Tor is like
Tor's
Tor
a
Johnson?
big science fiction name. I don't know.
Tor Johnson.
Is
was-
Tor Johnson a...
That's the guy who played the big bald dude in Plan 9 from Outer Space. He was I think a pro wrestler.
I wish we didn't have that no Googling rule. Listener,
Tor Johnson.
if you could text the number we released at the end of the last episode. Oh, we forgot to.
Tor Johnson he's not a pro wrestler. He was played by George the Animal Steele, who is a pro wrestler in the Ed Wood movie. That's
And
what I was thinking.
you're
of.
saying all this because you think that's what the publishing
I
company
think
named themselves
I think they
after?
named themselves Tor.com after Tor Johnson. Why would they not?
Tor is a publishing house.
Tor is a... Is it?
Like,
It's just
I
a
bet on your
website.
bookshelf there's a... No, you don't... No. On your bookshelf, hold on.
That's not my only bookshelf.
I'm a man of
I have
many
lots of-
bookshelves.
Lots of bookshelves.
Yes.
In my mansion.
Come on, where's your... Oh, no. Your Larry Niven. Speaking of Larry Niven, every once in a while, listener, we say things and we sound like we know exactly what we're talking about, but I think we've Gary Givened people and...
I just said I'm sure this woman's name completely wrong.
Yeah, well,
Ellen
and-
Klages.
I'm pretty sure Adam thinks that Greg Bear also wrote Cyberpunk. And Greg Bear is a hard sci-fi writer in my experience. And it doesn't mean that it didn't happen, but occasionally I blush at our imperfections when I listen to our playbacks.
That's good.
And just know that we're on this journey of sci-fi with you, and we're not going to get it all right.
This is true.
Like that Tor thing you're trying to sell us.
I'm telling you, that's what it is. Tor Johnson.
So this
was
is
the
gonna be
go-to
good.
Ed Wood guy.
Okay, so this would...
You know who Ed Wood is, Kevin?
Yeah. Johnny Depp.
No, he played
Johnny Depp. He made movies. Boris Karloff. Those things, right? Monster movies?
Yeah. He made Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Okay, cool.
And Glenn and Glenda. Glenn or Glenda.
Glenn and Glendale. Which is a
Probably,
fabulous movie.
It was probably filmed in Glendale, actually. And Tor Johnson was an actor, bald-headed, who played like an atomic monster in a couple different movies.
Yeah, I think I can picture him. So you think we'll find that out, or I'll remember to find that out. Don't do it now. Don't. It's illegal.
I'm not.
If Adam ever found out,
I would like to institute actually like a do not Google during the podcast.
We don't Google during the podcast.
Don't, really.
Sometimes I think
Adam,
you have.
I have once or twice. I don't remember
You did.
why.
You looked up that Cyberpunk thing.
Yeah,
and,
I did.
But that was kind of like Instagramming.
Yeah.
I mean, that you do that because of your ADHD,
No,
anyways,
proud
right?
Of it, yeah. Well, it's all right. I'm nicely medicated for that.
Google. I think Adam's looked up some stuff before, but he's the one who says it. But man of many contradictions.
I mean, he's probably not
practicing psychotherapist and
IED
IED.
from Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Are we still at war with Afghanistan? Because these jokes are going to seem irrelevant if
It doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
We will do anyway.
Yeah.
At some point. All right, let's not get political here.
Yeah.
AMICAE AETERNUM, which means friends forever.
Friends forever.
I googled AMICAE AETERNUM translation, and I looked at the first one, and it said "Reach for Infinity."
Can I see the name of this? AMICAE, like amiable. AMICAE, not AMICAE
Why am I
AETERNUM.
saying American?
Because it's very close
AMICAE,
to something you're very proud of.
AMICAE AETERNUM, not America.
Who's at war with Afghanistan, because we're recording this in 2003.
By Ellen Klages.
Ellen Klages. No, Ellen... Let me read the notes.
The notes. It's
Klages.
It says the title and by.
Anyways, left without Adam, we were forced to read another short story. Yeah.
Cool. Starts off, young girl.
11-year-old. Sneaking out of her house.
Sneaking out of her home.
Without her shoes on to feel the grass on her feet.
Yeah. Really, really great descriptions. Great, get a sense of the neighborhood. She talks about things that we all know about, wanting to smell barbecue, but knowing she can't because it's too early in the morning. And you're waiting for
the science fiction to kick in. Yeah.
Like, it spells out, and you later find out that it takes place around the year 2065.
Yep.
And she is about to hop on a generation ship.
And never be back on Earth again. And
I
her
found
greats will be the people who are alive at the destination.
I kind of went there.
It was a cool place. It had both. It had Earth and space.
Yeah, but as an 11-year-old, knowing what took me there was she has composed a list of things that she will, why being on a generation ship is going to suck. Mm-hmm. And it is, at face value, pretty, like, standard stuff. Like, I'm never going to get to ride my aunt's convertible.
Which she said I could do when I was 16.
Yeah, I'm never going to get to go to Paris. And then there's some that are a little more subtle, like, I'm never going to go down a street I don't know and see a store that I've never been in before. And those hit me kind of hard. Like, those would be the things an 11-year-old kid.
And it was cute because the tail end of the list gets a little more wacky, and she looks at her friend and said, "I was getting tired." At the end of the list, she goes, "I could tell."
Yeah,
because that was a nice touch.
And that's it. She's basically having this last day, right, with her friend. Mm-hmm. And they've got a set agenda of what they want to do on this last day, and they're doing it. It was really good, man. It kind of, for really quick, I don't know how many pages it would have rattled off to.
I mean, 4, 5, 6.
It did a great job.
Yeah, so, kind of nice to see the setup, how will we treat deep space and deep sleep. No real reason why we're going anywhere. Her friend gets to stay, but her mom and dad, Traveler's mom and dad, are physicists and they're excited to do research up there in no gravity. And so they've been given this opportunity to be pioneers, as her parents refer to it as. And so without a full reveal, you're like, okay, wow, there's this opportunity. And what it made me imagine is that the spaceship is described as something larger than a cruise ship, you know, like a basically a skyscraper laid flat.
Yeah.
And I just recently encountered our civilization having to do this in Dark Forest, part 2 of Three Body Problem, where though the Trisolarians, the alien invaders, have put a basically cock block on our scientific research, we can achieve some stuff with nuclear fission, and we have to build a space fleet, and we do. And so kind of to connect that to the space in this book where we might be on Earth, we might still barbecue, but maybe down in Long Beach, they're building generation ships. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. Where there'd be like terminals. You know what I mean? Like it was really cool to just kind of feel that at some point this intersection's going to occur, I think.
Yeah. That was one of the things that was really cool about it, was there wasn't this impending urgency of getting off Earth. Mm-hmm. It seemed like stuff's just going to go on for this girl who she's leaving behind, and there's this group of people, thousands of people, 4,000 they say,
4,000, yeah,
that are going to get on this ship and
never come back.
And their generations are going to live on. But there was also kind of a longing on the girl who was being left behind. Because she talks about how her family will, when she grows up and she grows old and she dies, her family will do what they did with her grandmother. Like,
which is sell some of the stuff, but keep some of the stuff.
Eventually, she's just going to be kind of forgotten, you know, that whereas her friend who's going on can become part of this essentially legend. Just like, you know.
The friend does have a sense that there are thousands of them, so she might be in the tiny print of this legend.
Yeah.
So the Earthbound friend gives her little friend who's going away a medallion, a silver, something that's been printed. Another cool little tech insight. She prints on her father's printer something that I imagine is silver, has weight, has a picture like engraved or appearing on it, and then also words engraved on it.
This is something I used the metal kit on my dad's printer or something.
The metal kit, yeah. Like, so I was thinking fabbing and stuff that William Gibson has done in about the same generation, the 2070s.
Printing, kind of something along that line, you know, where she's created this.
But it says Optime AMICAE AETERNUM, which is best friends forever. And the title of the story is chopped a little bit just to best friends forever. And they discuss that the legacy of this trinket, because these generations are going to be, this will be passed down. And the girl who's earthbound actually will be part of the story.
It's cool because it's one of those things, it's like the best jokes are the ones you have to kind of think about how the person got there or what they are then going to do. Like The Simpsons was great at that type of stuff. This now puts you in a space where I'm imagining hundreds of years in the future, and there are people reading this silver medallion, and maybe they don't even use the term best friends forever anymore, or maybe they do because of this medallion. You know, like that type of, it plants that type of cool seed. You know, like maybe best friends forever becomes something bigger, and just because this piece of metal that this girl has given her. Or it's something where, you know, they look at it and they go, what does that mean? Best friends forever. Wow.
Well, everyone is allowed to bring, I'm going to botch the number, but it's 6 kilos of stuff. Yeah. So she had to jettison the best teddy bear, but brought the comfy blanket and stuff like that. And so there would be, each individual would have a measurable amount of keepsake or candy bars. I mean, whatever you wanted to bring along. Also mentioned this ship, like we have seen in people who have to take flight, like every documented piece of like cinema, book, the record of art.
It says something like any food you want.
Yeah,
like,
world history and everything is there preserved to kind of go out into the stars.
That was one of the things on her why it sucks list is that I'll never meet someone that my parents don't already know.
Mm-hmm.
That sucks. When you think about it, that sucks. Like you have a condensed your human interaction, which are obviously some of the most important things on this fucking planet, is condensed to 4,000 people for the rest of your life.
I did not feel that like that, but I've spent some time with groups like these who have to travel the stars in books. So, yeah, there was other things.
You were being serious for a second.
As I was saying it, I was like, yeah. I'm hoping listener understands that I read a lot, so that's what I'm doing there. But I have spent time.
Where's Kevin going with this?
Doesn't matter. There are some families in A Deepness in the Sky, Werner Renge, that travel basically the range of space. And though they've got it down a little better to where the generations, they'll ice you, so your generations will stay much longer. But they have biospheres and stuff like that, and they're just, the gripe isn't there anymore. Because it is how you live.
It's old hat, though, right? Like, this is new.
Yes,
like,
but so her great, they're going to be acculturated, I think. Yeah. like some of these other communities I've read about. You know what I mean? Yeah. So for the 11-year-old, okay, yeah, I get it. I mean, you'll never meet someone who doesn't know your parents, but
did you see?
That's a standard.
Did you see the movie The Room? Or no, it's just called Room. Actually,
no.
It's came out last year. But when you said that your greats will just be acculturated to this, like that's all they'll know. They'll know generationship. You know, Room is about a boy who is born to a woman who's been kidnapped. She was kidnapped when she was 17 years old.
Yes, I know of the movie.
Yeah,
now, yeah.
And all he knows is Room, and he calls it Room. Mm-hmm. And he knows he has TV, and so he does not think trees are real, does not think beaches are real, does not think other people are real. He knows his mother, and he knows the man that they call Old Bill or whatever. And as I was watching it, I was just going, this is sci-fi. Because not only do you have this boy who's in this world, who is then gets out of this world, he's then everything about the world that we know is completely alien to him. You know, he has never been exposed to the germs, so he's got to wear a mask. Everything is too big, too bright, too loud. And then the ending sucks. But
I heard about the movie, I think.
Yeah. But I mean, it sort of reminds me of that. Like, you know, like they just, that her descendants will become, this is all they'll know, so it'll be completely normal to them.
Well, last time we met, we spoke of 10 Cloverfield Lane. Yeah. Which has that room aspect.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of a movie which Adam will know dearly, called Bad Boy Bubby. I think an Australian or New Zealand friend, and this is where Adam hops in and he gives us his thing about it and cement the context. But basically, crazy mom raises a kid to believe that the outside world is totally toxic. She leaves the house every day with a gas mask on, and then leaves him to think that the outside world is bad, and she ends up dying or is murdered by him in a freak out. He escapes, realizes he doesn't die, and then he fronts a punk band for the thing. And it's done right. Like, people, I wish Adam was here. Yeah. He could chime in on it. It's an indie cult film, and I'm sure people at Video in Bar Harbor, Maine, where Adam cut his teeth and rented me movies, probably had that across their counter. Nonetheless,
The onion keeps on peeling, man.
yeah, the onion. What do you mean?
I just I don't even know you lived in Maine.
I did. That's Adam and I schooled together, and
I knew you guys.
we
together,
had the weirdo bond. Yeah.
I didn't know.
But he worked at the video store, so we were always like, I think big movies back then. Almodovar, the foreign stuff. Who was the guy who did like The Cook, the Wife, the Thief, and His Lover, and one called Prospero's Rings, and like some French dude, and then there was a whole set of movies that were standards of VHS indie places, it's funny to think of video. It sold like there was like camera parts, it was like a video store that still had like actual video elements that they sold. Like you could repair a VCR there. They also repaired.
My mother worked at One Stop Video in Norwood, New Jersey, and for me it was amazing because I could go after school to the video store, and she always got the movies that they send to video stores. They're like, you can buy this, so you can then put it on your shelf. It costs $150 for this video store to buy because there was no like home video market really yet.
Yeah, remember the price stickers on the stuff you rented? You were like, dude, if I lose this,
holy crap,
$100 in a hole, man.
Like E.T. is $320, and that's even when, because I remember being a kid and it was never on home video. Like you had to just go see it in the theater, and then finally in like the later '80s they put it out on video. But and we used to go in the back room and just watch all these movies that they used to get sent before they went on the shelves. Cool stuff, man.
Yeah. So, 11-year-olds, young adult stuff. First of all, short story-wise, I think we're 2 for 2 now. I think we have 2 buzz and two that stand up from our short story reading experiment, which is cool because, I mean, that in such a simple and short form did the sci-fi thing.
Totally.
And it kind of gave me like people can do this. People can do this. The last one, the one with the Cyberpunk, and I think it generated more, like talking than it did. This one actually just kind of qualified and worked.
Yeah.
But in the microcosm way.
And both the first time we did it, both the short stories I think kind of gave us, or me anyway, it gave me a little bit of I don't know if you can accomplish good sci-fi with this.
That's what I'm saying, and like that,
because you need the larger world, and strangely enough, like this story about 2 11-year-old girls got across like a pretty innocent, heartwarming story in a land that made me want to know more about it, and also didn't feel like I needed to know more about it. Like I wasn't hungry for any other details, and like, oh, you got to give me this, or else I don't know what's going on. It wasn't like that at all. It was good.
It worked. It was the subtle strokes. And so down at the bottom of that, like I alluded to, maybe she writes YA. This didn't feel YA. It didn't pander to some come-of-age thing. It spoke for itself.
Yeah. I could see why, like, cynicism got activated for a second while I was reading it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that in and of itself means, like, other people would read it and go, oh, yeah, it's total YA bullshit. Because cynicism was activated. It was the moment when she's explaining to her friend about the generation ship.
Yeah.
I kind of went, dude, if we're in a world where there's generation ships, this fucking other girl already knows this stuff, and you are just writing this to tell the audience right now. And I was able to get past that.
That did not register to me.
It did with me. It was like, it's 2065, girls. Time to grow up. Right?
How does she deliver it?
She says, well... I mean, I think that's exactly what she says. Well, the thing about what's the name of the ship? Like, the Nostromo. I don't know. It's a generation ship. And so, and then she tells that how...
See, I felt she was kind of retelling it to vent. I think the words were selected in such a way that it wasn't it was exposition, but like it felt really natural.
It felt more natural to you. No. See, that's,
like
again,
she was like griping again. Right. Like it's the ship
it's
where grandma, where there would be great, like they had already heard it before.
And then the other girl says like, "How big is the rocket?" You know, and she's like, "It's really big. It's like the size of a cruise ship." And I'm even doing it with my voice.
Yeah,
I gotta stop.
You're a dick. You're a dick. No, hey, it happens. But YA wise, I didn't feel like it stood alone. Like maybe if she starts at 11 and she grows up, they could have YA'd us. There are books that take kids, and I don't think they're young adults. The Name of the Wind is Patrick Rothfuss. Tried to speak about it the last episode, didn't get there. Just name dropped it. It's a frame up where there is a innkeeper who has a student, and it's clear that he stepped out of whatever he was doing just to be an innkeeper, to be left alone. Okay. And a chronicler comes along, who's a man who documents people's stories, and has a hunch and begins to get the story of who this innkeeper really is out of him. Because it's sort of understood that if a chronicler finds you, then you tell the story, and it's in confidence, and it must be documented in this world. And it's fantasy, so there are...
For what purpose is it documented? Like who...
He's like known. He's like, you are so-and-so,
the
chronicler.
Right. Yeah.
Then the time has come, sort of. It's sort of like, then if I've been found, I must tell. Because he's legendary. He's the bloodless one. He's the king killer. But he's just this dude who started an inn. And so, meanwhile, there's some sort of demon contagion that's going on. And he seems to know how to handle himself really well, a lot better than the locals. And you're getting some clues. And then he starts telling a story. And he starts at like 11. And he's just with his traveling family of like performers, and they've got a name, and everyone knows through this countryside that this type of family is a performance family, and they're a type, kind of like gypsies or something. And an arcanist, which would be like a magician, starts traveling with the family, and he starts telling of his learning, which could be totally young adult, but it's an adult telling you, and it has nothing to do with young adult. And he ends up going to the university, which is the arcanist school, where you learn sympathy, which is what they call magic. Because sympathy, iron is sympathetic to the iron in your blood. Okay. And you create binds. And this is how magic in their universe works. And it's a wonderful setup. You take a 700-page ride, and he gets into university, has some hard times, and still is in a university when it ends. There's a second one coming that I'm going to start reading, and there's a third one that has not been written by this man yet to wind it up. But it reminded me of the Once and Future King. It reminded me, because there's a total master and apprentice setup that's going on, and then it reminded me of Harry Potter in a very basic way. And this dude's writing this in the 2000s, so I'm like, we all know that there's a kid who's got something different going on that's getting into a school, and there's sort of a nemesis teacher and a supportive teacher that's signing, and it really made me want to look at Harry Potter to see how these things stand alone. I've only seen the first Harry Potter, haven't read them, but I very quickly went, all right, man, this is a wizard school.
Yeah, I mean, I've got them all upstairs on one of my many other bookshelves. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you read them, though?
I haven't, no.
It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. I see the movies.
Yeah. I hear they're great. I tried to start reading that with BW. There's a version that's been illustrated by a famous illustrator. It's the exact first one, and the pictures are awesome, and he just wasn't taken to it. I want to recheck it out from the library and go. I think I had cooler books on the shelves at the same time.
I don't know if 6 is that that's right for the first Harry Potter?
It was working. I mean, so yeah, they're wicked.
Yeah.
There's that wicked kind of setup.
Yeah.
Because you got to put the hero in a scene like that, you know.
I started reading the first one. Years
And then
ago.
you said, hey, I'll just buy the other 6 and
said,
put them
hey,
on one
you
of my
know
mini
what?
bookshelves.
You know what?
This is a palatial place. We're recording in George's solarium.
The solarium.
The
actually,
solarium,
in Highland
yeah.
Park, California. Mm-hmm. Adorned by Kevin Tong, Forbidden Planet poster, Star Wars.
And
It's a lot of toys. And Jack's little star chart of his daily tasks.
he's doing... That's weird. You make him clean his own clothes with a washboard? That's sick.
How else is he gonna learn?
I don't know.
What like?
Yeah. What's up with
The
the raw?
internet?
What's up with the raw pasta thing? That's totally weird.
The raw pasta thing? That's
Yeah.
his reward.
Yeah, pasta sandwiches. Do you remember Mr. Show?
Dude, pasta sandwiches. Holy shit.
That stuff. Yeah.
That sound is so awkward looking.
Yeah. I told someone just today
was
about
so-
Daddy. What's a Gagortion?
What's a Gagortion?
What's a Gagortion?
Like a kid had to deliver that line.
Well, that's why it's not. It's Gagortion though. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's great. It's great.
It's fantastic. What's a Gagortion? I was watching a great episode of these two British comedians, David Mitchell and Mark Webb, and they have a show called The Mitchell and Webb Look, and it was Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus, and Santa's like kind of deadbeat brother comes around, and through you find out eventually, like through them talking, he's there to like borrow money from Santa, and Santa's like, he's trying to start a new holiday. Santa's like, no, it sounds like a good idea, but why don't you come work for me in the shop? And then Santa leaves the room for a little bit, and Mrs. Claus comes in, and she says something like, you told me that if I got rid of it, you would never come back. She's clearly had the abortion of Santa's brother, and oh, it's good dark shit. It's a great show, Mitchell and Webb Look. I believe on Netflix. I watched a sci-fi short called The Nostalgist. It was recommended. It was on Reddit's sci-fi subreddit. It was well shot, but not anything new or original. It's basically a father and son. They're sitting and playing chess, and something starts to kind of kink out a little bit. They're in Victorian garb, and things start to get a little wacky, and he's projecting it all through a pair of glasses, and the kid is actually a robot, and that's pretty much it. And then at the end, that's pretty much it. Like, seriously, he goes and gets the glasses repaired.
So there's a human wearing glasses that make you appear like you're...
Wearing glasses that make the shitty dystopian future that he's in whatever he wants it to be.
Okay.
He's decided to make it into sort of Victorian London, and the robot that he built as his son is projected as a little boy through these glasses. The glasses
Did he lose a son at some point? Why?
They don't say anything like that. He's just got this kid. The glasses start going a little wonky. He goes to get them repaired. He comes back, and the robot kid takes the glasses off, and they decide, like, okay, we're gonna live the world. Look, we're gonna.
And what's the world like out there? What's the dystopic aspect?
It's kind of Blade Runner-esque, like military's kind of stranglehold. Things are a lot of crime.
That reminded me of Children of Men. I don't know if we ever talked about that here.
That was fucking great.
That's
man.
amazing. Yeah,
That was a great
I want to
movie.
rewatch it. It's a book too, isn't it?
It is a book.
That would be kind of cool.
And the book is slightly
but the
different.
book is not less sci-fi-ish.
Yeah,
it's a little more like they took a leap.
Yeah.
Oh, then that doesn't matter.
Nothing matters.
In Richard K. Morgan's Takeshi Kovacs stuff, they have Kovacs is Kovacs. Okay, so you want to say Kovacs. At the beginning of the books, there's always someone who says his name wrong, and in parentheses he goes, not spelled like, they always miss the fine Czechoslovakian sound that it's supposed to be. And so I've been trying to say it right, and I read it like Kovacs phonetically, but I always remember the note that there's kind of a joke that people are always saying his name wrong.
It's Rorschach's name from Watchmen.
Is Kovacs?
Kovacs.
That's right. But there's all sorts of cool virtual stuff that they can do. And you can spend, if you need to go work with someone's stack, but they are not sleeved yet, then you can activate them and go visit them in a virtual, right? And depending on who they are, they might have a virtual palace set up. If you're a soldier on ice, you might just be in a room with a desk. And then you go in and talk to them and figure stuff out. You might be getting clues off them. In this case, they're interviewing people to do a job, in which they will be sleeved and go do the job in the world. But you could put them on ice, and ice is not a word they use, but you could put someone in that limbo phase and go and interview them, but like do it like for 3 months. Like you could train them, okay? And you could pop out and only 2 minutes have gone by in your real world time.
What's the reason for the disparity there? It's because like things
you can mess with the speed. You can actually mess with the speed of the virtual thing.
It's
so
like
you'll experience it for 3 months. So it's a bad thing if you get caught. You could be tortured till death for years, then reawakened and done again. And so it's a real bad thing if the wrong people get their hands on your sleeve.
Nice.
On your stack. On your stack. So there's...
so you could experience 20 years of prison.
Oh, yeah. One of the biggest threats is that we're going to get your stack and you're never going to die.
Yeah.
We're just going to torture you forever. And stuff. But so just a virtual... thing that's going on. So there's virtual sex that they do, and it feels like it's days and it's just been minutes. And
there's an episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine where one of their crew members, there's a screw up. He gets arrested for something he didn't do on this one planet, and before they clear everything up, his sentence has already been carried out. And the sentence is he's been in jail for 50 years. And it's all happened within a minute. They implant those memories into his brain. And so now he is left, no way to get rid of it. He has left a man who has experienced 50 years worth of prison. Killed people, seen his wife coming to him, aging, talking about the kids and what they're doing. And he is still living his life, Like it added a whole new dynamic to this character.
So you could just...
They just laid him down, put two things on him, and then by the time the rest of the crew comes in, they're like, it's already been carried out. So you have two options now. He's going to live with those memories, or you can wipe, because they're medically they're that advanced. They could wipe his entire memory, but they can't just go in and go, oh, this piece is out.
Get
this
that
piece
out.
is not, So it was fucking cool. It was a good episode. Kills his cellmate, all this stuff that like added another edge to this already pretty good
just
character,
trauma, you would just trauma.
Like just
now, wait, so
it.
is that scripted though? Like, how does he end up killing a cellmate? Who decides to write in that the wife will visit an age, or you'll get this adventure in there?
It's
right?
all the way they bill it is they've got AI that interacts with who he is.
Yeah,
so they have certain things set up, like if it's a lenient crime, maybe they'll be a little bit cooler, and you'll be able to like get curry favor with a guard. Or if you're a murderer, it's just like maybe you're in the hole for 50 years, and that's it. Come out completely batshit crazy and try and experience that.
So almost like an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, according to the crime.
Yeah, and
the program's written to match
that. The reason
that.
they did this was to completely cut down. There's no prison population now. People, they just do what I'm sure their fucking mental health facilities are like overpopulated. But people just, they go to this station, they get, other planets bring people to this space station that performs this. And
can't they perform something that stops you from committing crime?
Probably. But where would be the... it's entirely punitive. It's like
Yeah.
Which is that's what prison is. There's no rehabilitation to it, really. I mean,
Well, I was thinking about recidivism, and how, like, if you had a program like that, you could reshape someone's childhood, and maybe they'd never want to, or make them just feel like they were rich and never want to rob.
But here's the funny thing about that. That I somehow feel is more unethical, going in and changing the nature of a person, than it is to just say, I'm imprisoning you for your crime.
Where was I just reading that? Where was that? I'll never.
Because if you committed the crime, all right, you know what? This is what we do. This is what society does. You go to prison. Whatever's gonna occur in prison is gonna occur. But to actually go in to your brain and change who you are as a person to ensure that you will never do that again, that is wrong.
Right.
Yeah. Weird.
Well, wrong. Correct.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's late.
It is, man.
I should go home. I've got to read.
Let's call it. It's yeah. All right.
So, listener, thanks for being here with us again. I will be finished with Book 2, Broken Angels, by Richard K. Hamilton. If you are reading along, I know some of you guys who wrote in fan letters are saying you're enjoying the ride, and
I haven't gotten to the bottom of that stack yet of fan letters.
Well, there's not time. We're busy daddies.
Oh, I put them in one of the many.
Yeah,
bathrooms
it is
upstairs.
weird that you decided to write a response to every single one. I mean, you already have a lot on your plate.
Did you you didn't read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
No, but there's something about
the infinite. What is his name? Something the infinite prolonged. He's an immortal.
Yeah,
and he decides he decides he's going to insult the universe in alphabetical order.
So like the stars and all
no, every single person in the universe.
Yeah.
He's going to find them in time and space and insult them. You know, and it just like so every once in a while throughout the book series, a ship will show up and this guy will pop out and be like, "Dent, Arthur Dent, yes, you're a total asshole. Nobody likes you," and then he'll just leave.
Wow. How far down the alphabet does he get?
Well, let's see if he's gotten to.
Is that the A's first name A?
Dent.
Or Dent. He's in D.
Arthur Dent. He's in D's, but one of the characters' names is Zaphod Beeblebrox, which is Z. Well, Beeblebrox is B. Yeah. I don't think he gets to Beeblebrox. He does insult someone else. He insults that one dude who keeps coming back. There's this one character that's reincarnated and killed every single time he's reincarnated by Arthur Dent. I can't remember his name though. Oh, write us, listener. Tell us what that character's name is. Send you a postcard.
Mm-hmm. And good night. Thank you.
Good night and good luck.
All right, thanks for listening. You can subscribe to Busy Daddies Do Sci-Fi on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you listen, please take the time to rate and review. Reviews keep us on the charts, and that way people can find us. You can follow us at BDD Sci-Fi on Twitter and Instagram, or if you want to learn more about the Busy Daddies, check out bddsci-fi.com. Thanks for listening, and see you every other Wednesday.